That was beautiful. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That is why it is called present. Enjoy while it lasts. Okay, let's go to those who help do this today. And we'll start with the general evaluator. It's going to coordinate that. I think you're not going to see me here behind this section anymore.
Good evening, everyone. One of the things I'm very cognizant about time, which is timely that I'm saying that. We have about 15 minutes left, and we have to get in about 6 evaluations. Evaluations take about 2.5 to 3 minutes, so I definitely want to be cognizant of everyone's time. So bear with us. We'll go a little bit longer, and I think today was a worthy reason because we have 6 really outstanding speakers. And the benefit of today is that we'll go through each of the evaluations, and I am the first evaluator, so I will quickly start. So I was the evaluator for Daniela's speech. So here's her evaluation. I shake my own hand and ask. I saw Daniela take a leap step in what she's been able to accomplish as a speaker today, because she's done the competent communicator. But today I saw you develop your storytelling to another level, and here's the reasons why. She started out with a story that engaged everyone. We all wanted to know what happened when that car spun around that mountain, around the fountain, and you detailed every piece. So I was hooked on it, and I knew the title of your speech, and I was trying to, again, hook the introduction to the title of the speech, and I'm following you, so I'm hooked in trying to figure out where the message is going. And then you, when she described your husband's reaction, then I realized it was about pets. So she got me completely hooked. She gave me the twist. Great speaking involves a twist. So she got me to understand about dogs. The next thing that she pulled up the cards and told you how dogs can be effective, what dogs' roles can play in people's lives. And she walked around and showed that. So she then took me on another road. The next thing she did, she began with another story, now linking the true messages of what the importance of dogs. And then she brought it to the lesson. The lesson is, here's the 3 things you can do by adopting a dog. Absolute twists at every spectrum of her speech. Amazing. That is what the best storytellers do. They keep you hooked until it is time to deliver the message. And the message was clear. She identified 3 reasons why you should adopt a dog rather than buying a dog. And that was the call to action. The call to action conclusion was the lesson. Amazing. Amazing job. Great storytelling. 2 things where I feel that you can make some improvements. Visual aids. While I understood the visual aids, they were a little small and harder to see, especially the one that had the writing on it. It took me a while to figure that those were headlines about dogs. Often I would recommend the visual aids be somewhat larger or visible or clear on what you're trying to demonstrate, and all of a sudden we will get it immediately, and then we can follow you on the next steps of your journey. The second part where I would like you to improve, and it's a very subtle thing, and sometimes you don't really notice until you're really paying attention for it. Eye contact. Eye contact, you did a great job throughout your message as you were delivering eye contact. You made everyone feel involved. The tricky piece is in the transition. That half a second where you are transitioning from point to point, you have a tendency to look down for a second as you are thinking through the next point, and then you quickly bring your eyes up, and then you're looking back to point. See, for me, that little nuance to the audience is a distracting point, because once you lift your eyes down, you are not making that connection that you've made throughout the previous paragraph. People typically look up and to the left when they're thinking. I think when you were thinking, you're looking down and to the left. Watch the video. You will catch it. Once you get rid of it, instead of having 6 minutes and 45 seconds of connections, you'll have 7 minutes and 15 minutes of connection, which makes a drastic difference. Great job with storytelling. Keep up the hard work. I enjoy what you're doing. invite the next evaluator, which is Daniela, for Harold's speech. Please give Harold his due course.
Harold's speech, overall, the purpose was for him to get up here and apply the feedback that was provided to him in a prior speech that he did, and to demonstrate how he did it. So the first thing I noticed, Harold, you started back here, which is not like you. If you know Harold, he's very, is he worried, shy, nervous? No, not Harold. So you started back here, and then you connected the whole idea of why you were here, because Manny mentioned earlier to use the floor. So that was a great way to implement that feedback that he gave you, because you stepped out, you moved around, you used the floor, you went from this side to this side. There's another piece that you mentioned while you were up here in terms to take a deep breath, which was a piece that you provided, I believe, last meeting or 2 meetings ago, where you said, when you're up here, don't rush into speaking. If you're nervous, take your time, take a deep breath, and when you're ready, start. And that's what you did up here when you said, I think when you first started, that's the deep breath. That's why you said that. That's the deep breath that you should take before you start speaking. Because all that adrenaline is going to sort of do where you're losing your breath and you can't deliver, and you want to be able to do that. So those two were the ones that you applied. In addition to that, you added some feedback in terms to your personal life and what you think of feedback and why it's so valuable. One of those was, feedback is not just for the speaker, but for all. Absolutely true. Every time evaluators come up here and they provide feedback, I'm always listening. What are they gonna say? What did they pick up on? What is it? The head movement? Is it your voice? Your eye contact? It's so important for you to listen every time an evaluator's up here, because it really does help you. There was another piece you mentioned. Don't let anyone live rent-free on your mind. Amazing. You said that, and I believe that a lot of you probably relate to that, where you take people's feedback and you run it over and you run it over and you let it keep playing and playing, and it really does impact you, whether it's a negative or a positive way, but don't let anyone live rent-free. Very true. There's a part that you said, it may stink, but it comes from a good place. The feedback sometimes, it's not to give you negative feedback or to hurt you, it's to help you grow. It really does help if you implement that. So what did you excel at? You applied the feedback, you walked around the floor, which you're really good at, you had good eye contact. You're always so comfortable up here. I love how you just come up here, and to you it's so easy, and for me, I'm like, how do you do that? So you're really good at that. And one of the things that I thought you could work on, I've noticed the hands were swinging, and I think it's because you're so comfortable. You're just like, you're just having a regular conversation with us, but I don't know if that's intentional, but it might be something you want to maybe not do if that's not the purpose. But that's perhaps something you might want to work on. And I'm not sure, you might want to ask Mario, which is more knowledgeable later on, but there was a lot of movement, and I wasn't sure if it was all with intention or it felt maybe too much, but I just want to put it out there, and maybe Mario can help you with that.
I thought you did it.
But yeah, just the arm swing is the only thing. Thank you.
Okay.
Great job. Now I'd like to invite Susan B. Wilson to provide feedback on Gail Komeski's speech.
Santa Toastmasters. Ay, no creo. I be from Southern Ireland. Gail Southern gave us this wonderful speech about Chinese. Mr. O'Rourke. I found that she did a very, very good job. But God, I swear. And she used the Irish brogue so well. And when she talked about each character, she moved around the room and showed us when they talked, they stood in a certain place. On occasion, though, I do believe you gave them a little bit too much time. You were using the pauses effectively, pero I don't know, my daughter, I don't know. Some of your pauses were a little long, but you made us lean in and wait for the next word. So if you had done it purposely, I guess, Jesus, Molly, and Joseph, I don't know what you did. By using the different voices across the room, we knew who you were talking about, whether it be Jamie or Eileen or any other person, the people in the town, the people who got hit by the big potato. And as you talked, you gave us a great impression. Just watching you do this, I tell you, I swear, you did such a wonderful job. The question that it asks is, what things stood out? It was kind of hard to pick, because you did such a wonderful, gracious job in pointing out the various parts of the story. It made it very difficult for me to pick just one thing. So I said, all of them. As you conveyed the information about Jamie, Eileen, and the people, I did like the part where you talked about the leprechaun and how the leprechaun was captured and the bargain that was struck for the leprechaun to get his freedom. If I were Jamie, I would have taken the gold. Because all those potatoes, that humongously large potato, do you know how much carbohydrates were? I really enjoyed the scenery as you described it. And by conveying that information on us, I could see in my head how the story was going. Although I had to make up what Jamie looked like. But I guess he was a brother. He was a Southern Irishman also. Did a great job, my daughter. I look forward to another story.
I'd like to invite Harold to put in a review of Cindy's speech called Little Miss Ebony. Thank you, sir.
Don't worry, I ain't got no accents. To answer your question before I get started with Cindy, I'm comfortable up here because I'm comfortable in here. See, I either trust the room, or if I don't know the room, I still got me. No matter what, I'm gonna be who I am. If you don't like it. Okay, so again, one of the hardest parts of doing this is evaluating somebody that you look up to, somebody that you feel may be a little bit more experienced and polished than you, but that is also how you polish yourself. Right? No sword ever got sharpened by a cotton ball. Sometimes you gotta stick yourself. Anyway, all right, so I'm just gonna read this from the evaluation. Because I know Lauren over there, she's being the timeout. What indicated to you that the audience was entertained? Well, all eyes in the room were focused on you. There was not a stray eye in the room. Briefly describe the talk's organization as you perceived it. You introduced your love for cats, introduced each cat, and then began describing the relationship and the antics between the cats, and then the relationship and antics between the cats and you. How effectively did the speaker use vivid descriptions and anecdotes of stories? Very much so. Which leads into the next few questions. How did the conclusion relate to the rest of the talk? And I'll be honest, the conclusion felt a little rushed. I think when she put the yellow one, I think you got to. He was like, all right, and then the cat's gonna run across your head, it's gonna run across your feet. Right? And I said that because I felt like I was visiting your home and just watching how you get down with your cats and the cooking the food and whatnot. And then you were like, get out my house.
Please get off the horse.
How could the speaker improve the talk? Find a way to build up to the conclusion. Keep the audience with you on the journey of your speech and bring them comfortably to the destination instead of...
Well, I love this.
What would you say is the speaker's strongest asset in entertaining speaking? Total comfort in speaking to an audience. If there was any nervousness, it was nowhere to be found in your delivery. Thank you.
I would now like to quickly welcome, and I'll take over time or two. I'd like to have Lauren come up and provide an evaluation of Lucy's second attempt at that speech.
Lucy, thank you for delivering your speech again on Max and taking the feedback. Your strong points as a speaker, I always say that you have the ability to connect with the audience because of your enthusiasm to speak on what your subject, as well as your personality. I think it's a very bubbly and warm personality, and when you smile, it's just like, I don't know what we're smiling about, let's go smile. Lucy's smiling, so let's go. And again, that allows you to connect with us. You let us know about your husband and how he had animals and you didn't have animals, so we can start getting a picture in our mind about your home, and put the desire for both of you to have a pet together, which brings us to Max. You owned your story this time from the last time that you had. It didn't seem that you were comfortable telling us about Max, but now you were able to connect us and bring us into a day in the life of the Payne family. How you're excited when your husband, how you're excited when the dog greets you at the door and then he greets your husband, and how much you have to take care of him, be responsible for him, just as you would with children. Your volume was loud, but again, because you're able to deliver conversationally, it's one tone for me. So you can get excited and make your voice a little high. But when you were talking about not being able to have kids, maybe you can go down a little bit lower. But we all felt it because we all can imagine that. But just for presentation's sake, you can just go a little bit lower and a little bit softer. When you're moving around, you seem to go like that. Almost like you're dancing. But soon, and I see that'll develop, because I remember when you first started here, you stayed here, but now you're going up. So it'll improve. It'll improve. Yeah. And we can all follow you with your. Okay. You did give us an opening, and then you also let us know that there were 3 things that you were going to talk about. You said about the housekeeping, then you explained your house, so we all got a rhythm of a feel for how your house looked and how making plans has become more difficult now that you have Max, and then how he changed your life. So we've lived in a day in your life, and we understood why having a dog after all of these pet speeches is probably worthwhile. Please let us know if you get a dog soon. You did not use notes, and I don't believe you ever have used notes. No. But it's okay to use notes, even if it's a small index card, as long as you have the gist of what you want to say. Daniela used an index card a few weeks ago, and it's a quick look down, rather than you kind of like looking at Max and remembering what you're going to say, and then turn. I mean, it was good that you didn't turn away from us to look at Max, but you kind of like turned a little bit. But overall, I think that you did a great speech, and your excitement became our excitement, and your joy became our joy, and it was a great speech.
Great. I'm now giving the last evaluations of Marilyn's speech, and I definitely don't want to shortchange her. I know we're at 9 minutes and about 3 minutes, so if you can just indulge me with that, and then we'll just wrap the meeting quickly. But I definitely don't want to shortchange Marilyn after she wasn't on this list to speak. But again, this is one of the goals I set out for the club, taking the advantage of the opportunity and letting your voice be heard. She told a very timely story through a speech title called Time. And just taking from the headlines a story about Kobe Bryant, which I know people have heard and felt and impacted. So the fact that you're able to craft, if someone says, what am I going to talk about? Yeah. This is an example of someone stepping up to the plate and taking an idea that impacts all of us and making it her own. Great job among all dimensions of the speech, from title to introduction, to message, especially the conclusion. I want to point out that often when you talk about challenging things and you bring people down to a certain level where the material is a little low, to bring them back up and leave them on a positive note is something that's challenging, and skilled speakers do that, and you demonstrated the traits of a very skilled speaker in this instance. So great job in making that message yours and allowing it to show. A couple of great things you did. You showed high level of passion and emotion in your message, and I think we all really felt it. Because you can take how you took the events of this past weekend, demonstrated the emotional impact it had on you, how it creates a change in the way you want to execute going forward, and that's important. So we felt that passion, we felt that emotion. Continue to deliver that in the rest of your messages. One thing I saw I liked asking the question, and when you didn't see the response you wanted, ask it again. And what that does is that now you create that connection, because the eye contact that follows that question now stays with people. So it's not just that you're asking a question, what have you done in your life? Because when I'm asking you that question, that person over there is thinking, what have I done in my life? Great job. Areas where I want you to think about improving. 3 things. You spoke at a passionate lower level. I want you to diversify and bring it to a passionate higher level. So when there are points where you want to emphasize how you are feeling, I want to hear Marilyn talk about how she is feeling, not just how she is feeling. There's a difference in register. I want you to now focus on the upper register. The second part is body movement. And this is something I think what Lauren was referring to Harold. Sometimes it's important to stay grounded in your space when you're talking, and then you can do different angles to reach different people. And then when you want to make a point over here, you can come and talk to Lauren and still talk to Harold afterwards. So you can stay grounded in your body movement without shifting, because the shifting sometimes creates a little bit of tension. It makes people feel like you're dancing like Lucy. And the last part I want you to think about is, and this is why. The last part I want you to think about, and this is something that why I have to think about, because I dress in a certain way, or I manage with my clothing a certain way, because I know that I have a propensity to use my hands. And one of the things you did, because of your beautifully flowing dress, you were doing this along, you're wrapping it around. I know, but hopefully I made the point. The point is that
You're not the only funny one, Harold.
some of the challenges, and that's why, like, depending on when I speak, I take my wallet out, I take my watch, because I know I have a tendency to focus and touch a certain part. And it does distract the audience when they see you, because you're delivering a powerful message. So the ability to either have clothing that aligns with your message, or so you don't use your hands, it's important. It's a little nuanced. Audience might not say it, but sometimes in their mind, like, it may distract from the message. But that doesn't take away from the amazing job that you did today about delivering.
I know it's not my turn to speak, but I wanted to just say thank you. So the reason I didn't come last Tuesday was because somebody, what I consider a family member, died all of a sudden at age 48 with 3 kids. I mean, I'm literally carrying his card right with me right now. Grieve not, speak not of me with tears, but laugh and talk of me as though I were beside you. And it really, that you never know how much time you're going to have. So thank you, and that really means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
See, and that shows you, when you get up to this stage, when you get up to this spectrum, you don't know the power that you're going to have. So speak your truth, but most importantly, keep on speaking. I'm so proud to have so many people step up to the plate to speak today. I know I want to wrap this meeting up right now, just because I've taken 10 minutes of your blessed time, and I want to give it back to you. But I do want to ask Lauren, was there anyone who spoke other than me, who spoke beyond their time limits?
Nope.
Okay, so everyone was just about on time. I welcome you to network, but I do want to formally, if anybody needs to leave right away, I welcome you to take leave. And our guest today, I definitely want to spend a moment to greet you again. Thank you for a wonderful meeting. Have an awesome day.
I sign all the cards in the family.